It's a question that keeps intelligence analysts awake at night. Washington, D.C., Brussels. A question whispered in the corridors of power and debated in classified briefings. Russia, under some of the most extensive sanctions in modern history, appears to be quietly assembling what could become the largest, most sophisticated drone army the world has ever seen. The sheer scale is staggering, but the purpose remains shrouded in a thick fog of deliberate ambiguity. What are they planning? What is the ultimate endgame for this vast, unseen armada of unmanned aerial vehicles? It's a puzzle with pieces scattered across continents. The numbers themselves are difficult to pin down. Satellite imagery, shipping manifests, human intelligence sources. All of these suggest a procurement drive of unprecedented proportions. We aren't talking about a few dozen high-tech machines. We're talking about thousands, perhaps tens of thousands, drones of all shapes and sizes. Small consumer-grade quadcopters modified for reconnaissance. Large military-grade platforms capable of carrying significant payloads over vast distances. It's a buildup that seemingly defies logic and economic reality. A country supposedly isolated acting like a global superpower on a limitless shopping spree. And no one seems to know exactly where all the money is coming from, or where all the hardware is going. It has the distinct feel of a secret project the Kremlin does not want the rest of the world to fully comprehend. The trail begins in the sprawling tech hubs of Asia. In cities like Shenzhen and Hong Kong, global commerce moves at a dizzying pace. It is a world of endless factories, bustling ports, suppliers, distributors, logistics firms. It's the perfect environment to hide a massive procurement operation in plain sight. Here, under the cover of legitimate business, Russia has allegedly established a sophisticated pipeline for acquiring drone technology. It's not as simple as placing a bulk order. It's a far more subtle game of corporate cat and mouse, played out across thousands of transactions designed to look innocuous on their own. My investigation led me to reports detailing a curious pattern. Seemingly independent, newly formed trading companies with no public history were suddenly purchasing enormous quantities of dual-use components. High-resolution cameras, advanced GPS modules, thermal imaging sensors, powerful microprocessors, civilian applications in agriculture filmmaking, also the essential building blocks of modern military drones. The buyers were often registered in one country with bank accounts in another, and shipping instructions for a third. The paper trail was a deliberately tangled mess, a spider's web designed to frustrate anyone trying to follow it. I spoke with a trade analyst who had been tracking these shipments. He asked to remain anonymous, citing the sensitive nature of his work. If Asia is the source of the components, the Middle East appears to be the testing ground and the marketplace for complete, weaponized systems. Here, in countries with long histories of proxy conflicts and complex geopolitical allegiances, the drone trade is more overt, yet no less mysterious. The region has become a showroom for unmanned warfare, where effectiveness is demonstrated in real-world combat scenarios. It is here that Russia has reportedly been a buyer and a partner, learning from experienced operators, acquiring technologies battle-hardened in the deserts of Syria, acquiring technologies battle-hardened in the deserts of Yemen. I came across intelligence reports and chatter from regional experts pointing to a series of quiet agreements. These aren't formal treaties signed in grand halls, but rather discreet understandings reached in private meetings. Nations with burgeoning drone industries have found in Russia a willing and wealthy customer, one less concerned with human rights records or international norms. Advanced drone models have allegedly made their way into the Russian arsenal. One of the most bewildering aspects of this entire affair is how Russia is financing it. The country is subject to some of the most comprehensive sanctions ever imposed, designed to cripple its economy and cut it off from the global financial system. Yet here it is, orchestrating a multi-billion-dollar global shopping spree for high-tech weaponry. This points to another, equally shadowy operation running in parallel, a sophisticated scheme of financial engineering designed to evade these very sanctions. The drone army is not just being built with microchips, propellers, ghost companies' cryptocurrency backroom deals. The methods are as complex as they are brazen. Investigations have uncovered networks of shell corporations, often registered in jurisdictions with lax financial oversight. These companies exist only on paper, their sole purpose to obscure the true origin and destination of funds. Money is moved through a dizzying series of transfers, hopping between banks in different countries, making it nearly impossible to trace. It's a global game of three-card Monte where billions of dollars can be made to disappear from one account and reappear in another, seemingly out of thin air, ready to be spent on sensitive components. Furthermore, there is growing evidence that Russia is leveraging cryptocurrencies to bypass the traditional banking system altogether. Digital currencies like Bitcoin Monero offer a degree of anonymity that is highly attractive for illicit transactions. The first, and, well, perhaps most obvious theory, is that Russia is building the ultimate surveillance state. Russia is building the ultimate surveillance state. Drones, especially those small, quiet ones, are just the perfect tools for mass monitoring. Imagine thousands of these machines with high-resolution cameras, with facial recognition overlays over urban centers, over remote borders. They could give the Kremlin unprecedented situational awareness, an all-seeing eye over its population and over its neighbors with tireless vigilance. Now, this isn't science fiction. The technology exists today, and the pieces are being moved into place. Consider the sheer number of commercial-grade drones being acquired. Not formidable weapons alone, but a swarm of thousands networked, forming a surveillance grid of terrifying efficiency, used to monitor protests, track dissidents, gather intelligence on a scale that would make the Stasi look primitive. Every public space could be under constant observation, every movement logged and analyzed by artificial intelligence. It would be the panopticon realized on a national and potentially international scale. The implications for neighboring countries are particularly stark. Long-endurance reconnaissance fleets could patrol NATO borders, gathering intelligence on troop movements, military installations. So a more alarming theory suggests that Russia is preparing for a new generation of warfare, one dominated by artificial intelligence. This isn't just about remote-controlled drones. It's about autonomous systems that can make their own decisions on the battlefield. The goal is swarms of intelligent networked drones. They can hunt, they can identify, they can eliminate targets without direct human intervention. That would be a terrifying leap, removing the human element from the decision to kill and handing it over to an algorithm. Recent acquisitions of advanced processors and AI-capable components support this possibility. An AI-powered drone swarm is the stuff of military nightmares. Imagine hundreds of drones descending on a target, or even thousands. They would communicate and coordinate to overwhelm defenses. Some would act as decoys, others would jam enemy communications. The rest would deliver payloads with machine-like precision. Conventional air defenses are designed for a few large, fast objects, not a cloud of small, intelligent ones, so such an attack would be almost impossible to defend against. This would change the calculus of global power. A nation that perfects autonomous swarms gets a decisive advantage. It could neutralize an entire naval fleet, disable an airbase, cripple a nation's infrastructure in minutes with minimal risk to its own forces. Perhaps the most insidious theory, one that really blends the digital and physical worlds, is the threat of cyber-physical attacks. In this scenario, drones aren't just tools for surveillance or kinetic strikes, but vectors for delivering devastating cyber attacks. These are not drones carrying bombs, they're drones carrying malicious code. A small, unassuming drone could be flown near a sensitive facility. A power plant, a water treatment facility, a financial data center, not to spy on it, but to actually hack into its supposedly secure air-gapped networks. It's a terrifying prospect that turns every drone into a potential Trojan horse. The method is, frighteningly, pretty simple in concept. Many critical infrastructure systems are isolated from the public internet for security, a practice known as air gapping. However, they still often rely on short-range wireless protocols for internal diagnostics or maintenance. A specially equipped drone could get close enough to exploit these protocols, bridging the air gap and injecting malware directly into the industrial control systems. It could shut down a power grid, contaminate a water supply, even trigger a meltdown at a nuclear facility, all without a single bomb being dropped. To understand Russia's current strategy, one must look to its past. This is not the first time the Kremlin has pursued a secret weapons program intended to upend the global balance of power. One need only look at the development of the T-34 tank before the Second World War. The Soviet Union was secretly designing and mass-producing a tank that was years ahead of its time. When the German panzers rolled into Russia in 1941, They were shocked to encounter the T-34. The Cold War provides an even more potent example. The launch of Sputnik in 1957 was a clear signal. Viewed through this historical lens, the secret drone army makes unsettling sense. Drones, AI, cyber-physical attacks. They offer a way to bypass the West's advantage in conventional forces like aircraft carriers and stealth fighters. Just as the T-34 negated German tank superiority and the ICBM bypassed American air defenses, a sophisticated drone army could render many of the West's most expensive military assets vulnerable. The silent buildup has not gone entirely unnoticed. In the hushed halls of NATO headquarters and within the Pentagon, the alarms are beginning to sound growing louder with each new piece of intelligence. The United States and its allies are watching with increasing concern as the scale and sophistication of Russia's drone program become clearer. This vast, shadowy network of procurement, the sanction-proof financing the pursuit of autonomous swarms. If the coming century is to be defined by autonomous, intelligent drone warfare, could Russia, through its clandestine efforts today, be positioning itself to control that future?